Okay, so let's unpack this. When you picture finance, especially FP&A, financial planning and analysis, what usually comes to mind?
Stacks of spreadsheets, right. Lots of manual work, looking backwards
Yeah,
mostly.
exactly.
Oh,
Figuring out what just happened, kind of like driving using the rear view mirror.
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
But the source material we're diving into today, it paints a really different picture for 2030. It sees FP&A not just using AI, but basically being built on it.
Right. It envisions finance acting less like, separate processes and more like a living thing, a dynamic learning, almost like a neural network for the business.
That's a powerful idea, and that's what this deep dive is all about, how AI is really set to fundamentally transform FP&A.
From the inside out, yeah.
And our guide for this is some really interesting excerpts from an article called AI, the Future of FP&A.
So our mission here really is to get under the hood of that future vision, to figure out how AI takes FP&A beyond just processing numbers
Hmm.
and turns it into, well, a genuinely intelligent system for the whole organization.
Right.
Basically, its brain.
FP&A as the company brain. I like that. And the source grounds this by saying, look, by 2030, AI agents aren't just add-ons, they're the core, the engine driving FP&A.
Absolutely. It's a total paradigm shift. Think about the old way, workflows often disconnected, data stuck in different places, slow reporting.
Right, the silos.
Exactly. AI agents just smash through all that. They become the central processor,
Hmm.
handling huge amounts of data, and crucially, multi-dimensional data, almost instantly.
And the source calls these agents the cognitive layer. What does that actually let the system do?
Well, that's where the intelligence comes in. This cognitive layer is always working. It's pulling in data from everywhere, spotting anomalies faster than any human could,
Hmm.
running really complex what-if scenarios on the fly, and, importantly, giving solid, actionable support for decisions. It's not just automating tasks, it's enabling smarter thinking.
Which brings us to speed and precision. The article talks about going from data to insights in seconds. How does AI actually achieve that speed?
It's mainly about knocking down those data silos you mentioned. AI agents connect everything, financial data, operational data, market trends, customer info, you name it, across the business all at once.
So no more waiting for different departments to send their numbers?
Pretty much. Traditional analysis gets bogged down just waiting for the data.
Yeah.
But when AI gives you instant access and correlation, the finance team's role totally flips.
How so?
They're not stuck doing the grunt work of gathering and cleaning data anymore. They can actually spend their time interpreting the sophisticated insights the AI provides.
And that speed, it's not just about getting reports out quicker, is it? It feels like it enables a shift from being reactive to, well, proactive. The article calls this signal detection, not symptom reaction.
Exactly. This is where that brain idea really hits home. Instead of just looking back at symptoms like why profits were down last quarter, the AI is constantly analyzing historical data and real-time feeds. So it spots patterns, flags outliers, and gets to the root cause of things much, much earlier than any manual process or, standard monthly report ever could.
Can you give us an example from the source? What sort of signals are we talking about?
Yeah, sure. The source mentions things like potential cash flow issues building up or subtle changes in working capital needs.
Things you might miss.
Easily. In the old world, you might only catch those weeks, maybe months later, when you run the big reports. AI flags them now as they're happening. And it doesn't just raise a red flag and often gives context, maybe even suggest actions based on its analysis.
That kind of instant insight must completely change planning and forecasting then. No more just looking back.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It totally redefines them. AI turns planning and forecasting from these static periodic exercises.
Right, the annual budget cycle.
Exactly. Into something continuous, iterative. The plan and forecast evolve in real time as new data comes in.
So the forecast is always live in a sense.
Precisely. And this powers what the source calls predictive forecasting. The AI isn't just drawing straight lines from past trends, it's building complex models, analyzing internal numbers alongside all sorts of external stuff, market shifts, supply chain issues, customer behavior, predicting future outcomes much more accurately.
And what about those critical what-if questions for strategy? How does AI handle those?
That's where automated scenario simulations come in. Let's say leaders need to understand, I don't know, the impact of a sudden 15% jump in material costs,
Okay.
or a big supply chain disruption, or maybe demand collapsing in one market. The AI agents can run these incredibly complex, multidimensional simulations almost instantly.
Not just one answer, I imagine.
No, and that's the beauty of it. The system can show a whole portfolio of possible outcomes and even suggest optimized strategies based on different variables for the CFO to consider.
That's light years beyond building spreadsheet models for days on end. And can the system then react if one of those scenarios or something unexpected actually happens?
Yes, definitely. Through real-time adjustments, it has built-in feedback loops. So any gap between the plan, the forecast, and what's actually happening on the ground gets fed back into the AI.
And it adjusts.
Automatically, it recalibrates forecasts, updates KPIs, tweaks budgets. That agility is just crucial for dealing with how unpredictable things are today.
It really does sound like the system becomes less of a tool you operate and, I don't know, more like a partner you work with. The source even frames AI agents as collaborators.
So that change in thinking is vital. You're interacting with something intelligent. The article mentions conversational AI interfaces.
Meaning you can just talk to it.
Essentially, yes.
Oh.
Using natural language. A finance professional could literally ask the system things like, what's driving the gross margin variance in Q2 versus the forecast?
Or show me how a 10% raw material cost increase hits EBITDA for each product line.
Exactly that. You ask the strategic question, the AI crunches the data, runs the models, and gives you the insight or the simulation.
That must really help collaboration across the company, too.
Huge impact. By linking finance smoothly with sales, operations, HR, everyone else, the AI creates that elusive single source of truth.
Ah, the holy grail.
Kind of. It means everyone's aligned, working off the same real-time data and insights. That allows for genuinely integrated decisions.
Fewer silos, better communication, real-time data. And you mentioned automation earlier. The source says something interesting, that this automation actually liberates creativity, which sounds a bit backwards initially.
Well, think about all the repetitive, frankly tedious stuff that eats up finance teams' time right now. Monthly closes, routine KPI reports, generating standard cash flow forecasts.
Right. The necessary but maybe not most exciting parts.
Exactly. The source points out these are rule-based, high-volume tasks, perfect candidates for AI agents to just take over and automate completely.
So the AI handles the routine stuff.
Precisely. And that's the liberation. It frees up valuable human brainpower. Instead of wrestling with data reconciliation or formatting reports for hours, finance pros can focus on higher value work, more strategic, more creative things, analyzing how to boost profitability, exploring new market opportunities, maybe modeling completely new business ideas.
So the automation takes away the drudgery, letting people focus on people stuff. Strategy, creativity.
I got it. It lets human talent shine where it's best.
That's a really powerful reframing of the finance role. Now, the article's central idea, the title even, is The Future of FP&A, a neural network powered by AI. Let's dig into that analogy. What makes this vision act like a neural network? The source lists some specific traits.
Right. If you think about how a biological neural network works, processing info, learning, adapting, this AI-powered FP&A system shows similar characteristics. First off, continuous learning.
Meaning it gets better over time on its own.
Essentially, yes. Like a neural network tweaking its connections, the AI agents constantly refine their models and forecasts. They learn from the differences between what they predicted and what actually happened, improving accuracy without needing constant human reprogramming.
And it handles lots of different data streams at once.
Yep, that's multi-dimensional processing. The AI looks at data across regions, products, cost centers, different scenarios, time periods, all simultaneously. It doesn't have to go step by step. It processes these dimensions together, like layers in a neural network.
It also seems to know what's most important.
That's prioritization of drivers. Just like some connections in our brain are stronger, the AI system can figure out and rank the key financial drivers based on the company's goals.
So it focuses on what matters most for, say, revenue growth or cash flow.
Exactly. It understands which signals are critical in a particular situation.
And the agility we talked about earlier.
That comes from the agility through feedback loops. New information, deviations, a request for a new scenario, it all gets integrated instantly. The AI recalibrates plans and forecasts almost in real time. That immediate feedback makes the whole system incredibly responsive.
The source also mentions transparency. How does AI actually improve transparency? Sometimes AI feels like a black box.
That's a fair point, but here, AI-enhanced transparency comes from how the system connects the dots. because the AI links up all this disparate data logically and traces how factors influence outcomes through its models.
Okay.
It actually creates more visibility than siloed systems. You can understand why a forecast changed or what's driving a result because the AI can show the underlying data connections. It's explainable.
And it's fundamentally forward-looking, not just reactive.
That's proactive decision-making. Because it's always doing predictive forecasting and running instant scenarios, the AI inherently anticipates what might happen next, potential challenges.
Allowing leaders to get ahead of problems.
Precisely. They can make decisions to mitigate risks proactively, build resilience, rather than just cleaning up messes after they happen.
And the last point ties it all together.
Yes, holistic decision context. AI really enables systemic thinking in finance. It helps the team see not just the immediate impact of a decision, but the ripples across the entire company.
Like how a sales push in one area affects the supply chain or maybe HR needs.
Exactly that kind of interconnectedness. It sees the whole system.
It really does paint a picture of this incredibly complex, interconnected, intelligent system like a brain. So if we pull all this together, what's the ultimate vision the source presents for FP&A in 2030?
The vision is FP&A becoming an intelligent ecosystem. It's a finance function that's not just reporting where the dots landed in the past. It's constantly predicting where the next dots are likely to show up and understanding what that means. AI agents are the tireless, insightful partners making this possible. The whole business runs on decisions backed by real-time data, strong predictions, and instant scenario planning.
And what does that do to the role of the finance leader, the CFO specifically?
The source makes a really strong point here. The CFO's role shifts significantly. They move from being mainly the scorekeeper, the reporter of past performance,
Right.
to becoming more like an orchestrator of future possibilities. With this AI-powered ecosystem, finance teams can focus their energy on strategic foresight, really guiding the company not just to react to the future, but to actively shape it.
That's quite a shift from history keepers to future architects.
Yeah, exactly. It puts finance right at the strategic heart of the business.
So just to quickly recap this deep dive, we've explored this vision where AI transforms FP&A into a dynamic, proactive brain and ecosystem for the company, moving way beyond manual processes to intelligent, real-time prediction, simulation, and, well, strategic partnership.
And understanding this shift, it's not just for the finance folks. It's really crucial for any leader who wants to use data and intelligence to drive their business forward. It's a fundamental change.
Absolutely. And thinking about this source material, it leaves us with a pretty potent, maybe even provocative question for you, listener, to think about. If AI can take over so much of the prediction, the simulation, the heavy lifting analysis, and even suggest optimal strategies, what new frontiers does that open up for you, for the human professional in finance or business?
What's left for us to do?
No, rather, what new things can we do? What does it truly mean to partner with this kind of intelligence and move beyond reporting the past to actively, well, shaping the future?
Yeah, how does human expertise evolve alongside AI? That's the big question.
Definitely something to mull over as this future starts to unfold.